the Ezreal and opened up so many windows and avenues for them. But we're going to jump into pick ban here in game number 2. Let's see if Flame can locate a better champion this time around instead of the Aatrox.
Yeah, I think the Aatrox was certainly not the answer to the Rise that we'd want. I mean, it's hard to sort of locate a top laner that does fare incredibly well against the Rise, especially in 9.4 with, you know, champions like the ever-present Urgot being not so strong after the nerfs. So Lissandra and Rise are going to be banned here from DAMWON Gaming. They're going to say, well, this is how we're going to fix it. We're just not going to go against this current draft. There's a lot of mid laners now off the board. Of course, a flex in the Rise, but that is 4 of them for all intents and purposes, leaving the Rift.
I wonder if you just continue to pinch the mid champion pools. Maybe DAMWON just bans Sylas here because they are on the blue side. Instead, it's actually going to be a Kalista.
Yeah, Sol, of course, his best champion by a country mile is the Kalista, but did show us that the Sivir certainly works in his hands as well, as Lucian and Ezreal both available. And DAMWON thinking of locking away the Lucian. I also really like not ever giving Afreeca Freecs Lucian.
It's 9.4.
Yeah,
DAMWON, it's 9.4.
Flame's like, is it 9.5 yet? Is it 9.5 yet, guys?
Whoa, whoa.
Oh, all right, okay.
All right.
Vladimir, they found the Vladimir button. We're okay.
I hope they heard me. I'm not quite sure. They almost locked in a Kali.
They did. I know it's a rough time, but thankfully, no, it's okay. It's okay. Pat on the shoulder. It's all right, LS. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. We'll get through this. We'll get through this.
Vladimir is locked in there, and that is able to be flexed. Although lately, especially in Korea, it's predominantly only a top lane pick.
But for DAMWON Gaming, it has been largely a pick for Showmaker if Flame is on the roster. So Nogari generally isn't allowed to play the Hemomancer ever, because he's just too good at drawing all of the attention and then hard carrying the game by himself. So Lucian going to be locked in. This should be the bottom lane picked up for the Afreeca Freecs. But what I was going to mention with the Lucian pick is that Keen is probably one of our premier Lucian players from the top side of the map. We used to have Huni, he's gone, and now we've got Keen as our Lucian top player.
Well, Lucian Galio is definitely going to have a lot of kill potential, and DAMWON
I like it.
Wanting to respond to this with an Ashe and Thomas Kench.
I like the Ashe purely for what it does to the jungle matchup. Because Hawkshot is so incredibly strong at locating the enemy jungler as early as level 2, and if Afreeca Freecs lock in the Zac, which they do, that Hawkshot is going to be even better for allowing DAMWON to have as much control of this jungle as they want. The Olaf going to be the first ban here on the side of the Afreeca Freecs, but so far, I'm liking what DAMWON have put together, and I am skeptical about what the Afreeca Freecs have for themselves.
The Afreeca team composition is interesting because obviously you have the Zac engaged backed up by the Galio. The problem is that Vladimir has his Sanguine pool, and there's a Tom Kench on the side of DAMWON, so not quite sure what the synergy approach is trying to be here, and now Olaf being banned away, despite there having been 5 mid lane bans. And if you consider that the Vladimir might just be going top lane, Afreeca could have potentially just tried to pinch the mid-champion pool even further.
Yeah. Certainly a lot of flexibility available for DAMWON with where they put their solo lanes, of course, so Vladimir can go anywhere, as the Yasuo is going to be banned away from theoretically Showmaker, but that's an odd ban, to say the least.
That's a really bizarre ban, because it would mean that you assume that DAMWON is going to go Sejuani with the DAMWON team composition, leave Vladimir on an island, Ashe and Tom on an island, and then just likely going to have losing jungle mid matchup, which doesn't make much sense to me.
Wow, this is looking like an epic get-behind Soul team composition, with a big front line being locked in here in the Scion. It is going to be Brook that's going to have the counter pick availability most likely, unless he's going to be utilizing his top lane skills in the mid lane, which I would actually like, as Aurelia is just straight up locked in. And there's the Sejuani that you were talking about.
So there's the Sedge, which you already know would be coming. And so now at this point, the Aurelia is picked to try to go wherever the Scion's going to go. So the Vladimir and Aurelia are likely not destined to go somewhere specifically. I don't think that DAMWON has decided where they're going to allocate this. And they're going to wait until knowing who's going where. So now I'm interested to see if we're going to have a flex war Because this is going to be interesting. You want to try to get the Jax into the Aurelia. Aurelia wants to go up against Sion. However, if Aurelia meets Sion in the middle lane, the lane is so short, Aurelia still has an edge inside it, but it's not as big as in top lane.
I have a feeling we're going to see some real strange lane assignments this game, because I think chasing matchups is going to be more relevant this game than it has been in the past. There's your 20 seconds. There is your guaranteed lock-in with Flame on the Vladimir and the Aurelia being in the mid lane. Aurelia, of course, retuned a little bit to fare better top side of the map rather than in the mid lane.
Right.
But if you're against either Sion or Jax, you're going to be basically a top laner based on the matchups no matter what, right? So you're not going to be blowing up one of these squishy casters or anything like that. The classic hit level 6, just ignite someone and kill them with the Vanguard's Edge. It's going to be a different theory here. The attack speed is what you're going to be getting off the passive nowadays. Has certainly fallen out of favor, but I do like what DAMWON have put together for themselves in isolated matchups in the early game. Sejuani into Zac has certainly been something that we've seen over and over again with their ability to interrupt the elastic slingshot, which is why Canyon is now on piggy duty this game.
And on the flip side, right here, the graphics are about to pop up on the screen. Lucian, Galio, Sion, Zac, and we're edging right on over to him. Jax. Obviously, this team composition needs to be explosive. The problem is that everyone on the enemy team gets to go ninja tabbies.
Yeah, no, there's as far as damage variance is concerned, if we're going to use that as the buzzword, things not looking great, but let's see what happens as we get into game 2. What? That was a very enthusiastic fan looking forward to a potential Afreeca Freecs 2-0 if they can take down DAMWON here. But their composition is going to be a weird one. And we talk about damage variance. I do want to allude to the fact that Galio does magic damage, the Zac does magic damage, and the Jax does a lot of mixed damage. So in theory, we're going to be okay. Ardent Blaze also, you know.
There you go.
That's going to be doing a bit of that magic damage, even though it's been nerfed on this patch.
That will do definitely something, as we have Fanta starting on the red side jungle. Now, the thing here is that in mid lane, Aurelia, like I was talking about, the closer proximity to the turrets has a much more difficult time exerting pressure onto the Sion. But for DAMWON, they want to make it until the mid game into late transition. That's when their comp is really going to begin to flourish.
And this is actually what I was afraid of for DAMWON Gaming, is Keen hunting Aurelia. Because as far as being a duelist is concerned, there ain't much better than the old Jax Sereno, and there's no Fiora in this game to try and challenge that theory. So Aurelia feels like a Jax that's just not quite as good at being Jax in her current form. At least that's sort of my take on how her change worked out. So we'll see whether I can be proven wrong here by Showmaker on the Aurelia.
Jax is definitely a very hard answer to the Aurelia. And, ends up missing one right there.
Yeah, but that's okay.
I'm going to get benched for that.
No, in fact, Keen is the only one that hasn't been benched. There is a fun stat on the Afreeca Freecs side. They have had 4 unique mid laners so far this season, as Dread might be in trouble here as Canyon comes on through. Oh, thankfully does lock down his Gromp camp. That was a lot of excitement. You heard the Korean cast was getting very, very enthralled in that jungle battle. But it's going to be ships in the night more than anything else. Flame is basically going to have a free lane on the Vladimir. And that is bad news for Afreeca fans, because I just want to let you guys know Vladimir scales pretty good.
Yeah, and letting him have a free lane is always the opposite of what is good and healthy.
Yep. Also, Flame has been almost exclusively playing the Vladimir in recent times in solo queue. I was able to locate his solo queue account. It's a difficult one because no one actually knows that he's playing for DAMWON Gaming on OPGG, apparently. But thankfully, he is still registered.
So right here, they're trying to utilize the priority to locate Dread on that Zac. They're going to know that the golems are indeed up. And this is really interesting to me that they don't make a decision to try to press on. Canyon probably could have just gone onto the golem camp and messed with Dread, because you have the wave crashing top, so if Brook comes over to try to help, he ends up missing a lot of XP, a lot of gold, which is nightmarish in that matchup, because then Vladimir gets the bounce back and he's able to maintain that until level 5. And then also Showmaker, with the wave coming back into him, being in close proximity, feels like they really missed out on a big opportunity to get micro advantages in both the mid and top lane.
Not to mention the extra safety you get from having Hawkshot available as well, so you can guarantee a lot of those plays that you are talking about with the extra vision that you're able to get for yourself. So I do like the point, and I'm a bit sad that it hasn't been played around a little bit more in the early game here for DAMWON Gaming.
And I also think that this was a last-minute decision here to put the Scion top lane. I think Keen probably just said, let me have the Aurelia in mid, and unfortunately for the Jax-Aurelia matchup, it is favored for Jax, but in mid lane it is a little bit worse, much like how we were talking about the Aurelia versus Scion and how it's worse in the mid lane. And the reason that I'm saying this is because Scion has Grasp of the Undying. You're never proccing that against the Vladimir. You're never going to stack that up or actually get usage of it. And there is tanks on the side of DAMWON Gaming, so it's not like the Grasp is something that is going to be super magnificent. It doesn't make that much sense. And already, I mean, we're 5 minutes into the game here, but DAMWON's main carry champions are getting very sizable edges.
The advantages certainly are there for DAMWON, and the thing that's really scary is the fact that Flame can dictate the pace of this entire game. The Vladimir in a free lane is just so frightening. And what's Dread going to do? I mean, yes, theoretically, you can gank relatively early. We saw Peanut was the one to debut the overly aggressive ganking Zac from about level 3, but I just don't know whether ganking a Vladimir with a Scion that doesn't have a lot of burst damage to blow him up as CC bars are still relevant is actually going to be able to do anything. So top lane just feels like an island that is going to get more and more out of control until Flame hits critical mass and then wins the game by himself. So it's a scary time for the Afreeca Freecs. Is now Hoyt. He's on walkabout on this Tahm Kench. He's going to be able to eat some popcorn chicken, having a great time. Showmaker comes on over as well. Keen, relegated to being underneath his turret, isn't going to be able to help whatsoever as Senin comes on forward. Nuclear getting pressured out as the Tahm Kench was revealed to be in the mid lane. So a little bit of farm denial from the Ashe. But I actually don't mind the Ashe into Lucian matchup as well for DAMWON Gaming.
Teleport from Brook.
Yeah, Dread going to be able to pick up his rubber-banded Golem camp safely due to the fact that Scion does poke his head back in. He's gathered a Catalyst. He's going to be fine, but it's not about being fine in this lane. It's about whether I can punish the Vladimir, and right now he can't.
And unfortunately for Showmaker, ended up missing the stun there.
Speaking of missing the stun, Canyon is waiting for Counter-Strike to be on cooldown before he comes in for this gank. And Keen, you can see very intelligently holding onto that cooldown.
Not wanting to jump forward, not wanting to take the bait, and Aurelia is a cheater champion. If she does hit the stun, she can end up killing you in one combo. Does not sound very fair to me.
All right, now Keen going aggressive, and Showmaker actually taking the brunt of that damage to the face. Canyon unable to get in time to get there, as Ionian Fervor will get Showmaker some of his health bar back. But you can see it's still Showmaker trying to go around burst trades on the Aurelia, and you're not seeing that extra attack speed really giving you too much benefit up against the Jax. Because honestly, he presses Counter-Strike, and all of that attack speed means 0.
Yeah. And so we're still waiting for Jax to utilize his teleport in the lane. So he has not really begun to spike yet here, as Aurelia does go for the Phage, so we're not going to see any sort of machine trades or whatnot occurring in mid. And we're having an extremely slow early game, but the effect of this is that Vladimir is getting to glide smoothly into the mid game.
Oh, and look at that early buy as well. Kindle Gem as well as his Fiendish Codex. He's feeling absolutely fantastic. Head towards level 9 as DAMWON. Possible gank coming through from Dread here. He's just going to give up. Yeah, just stretching for the moment.
Doing some yoga.
You actually probably should do that before you know, start your workout.
Yeah.
Exactly. So just needs to stretch, get his iron, get things sorted out. That's okay, you know.
Do you think Zac works out?
I don't know. Does he have muscles?
I'm not sure.
Oh, we'll see whether he can flex in the mirror as he dives on forward. Not entirely sure who got that Gromp, but it feels like Canyon was the one to get it as Dread at least clears out. No, in fact, it didn't go down at all.
The blue went over to Dread. Dread is just on fire, actually, with his smites, except for against Baron.
Yeah, there was one that did not go particularly well. As Showmaker going to get flashed on here. In goes Dread as well, but the ultimate goes entirely wide, and that's a kidnap, and that's going to be first blood going over to the Afreeca Freecs. 2 games in a row, Afreeca with a great start.
Yeah, and now Keen is really going to be able to turn this lane on its head. Showmaker doesn't have teleport, not going to be able to come back to the lane that fast, and now Canyon is going to be on mid lane duty.
The other thing that I'm really impressed with is that the Zac gets his first gank off successfully, so now we'll have so much more control in this matchup. You can see already trying to transition that into Flame's lane on the Vladimir, but not likely that they'll be able to get any joy in a gank. He's down here on the bottom side. We'll see whether Sol can get himself into a good position. So far, very even. Bottom side of the map. Let's have a look at this one yet again.
Take another quick look at this, and Showmaker has not really been able to land his stuns this game that well, and
fighting with a level disadvantage as well is a real problem. This Keen's sidestep on that ultimate, just stunning. Vanguard's Edge just to give up a cooldown by the looks of things, and first blood going over to the Zac.
And one of the reasons that Showmaker is down in XP is just earlier around level 6 when Canyon was level 5, he leached so much experience off that wave.
Well, that's a relatively early pull. The Brook unable to punish.
Mountain Drake is still alive, but now Keen is definitely in the driver's seat. Take a look at Showmaker's XP. He's 8.5. And after he ends up consuming the cannon's going to be about 8 3/4 now, as we can't see what Keen's XP is, but he's been level 9 for a while now.
Yeah, might actually see him tick over to 10 here in this wave, and won't exactly have the next level of Grandmaster's Might or anything like that, which actually means a huge amount for the Jax. But will still be able to exert extra pressure.
We're going to come in here and steal the Wraith camp away from the Sejuani, as Sedge looks to pick up the Raptor camp of her own. And again,
that's not a flawless duet. That's unfortunately ironically named. At this point in time, Showmaker hasn't been able to land these Qs on anything but minions he's trying to last hit for the moment. This Keen at least will get zoned out for the moment, but doesn't actually miss out on anything and just avoids ganks. This guy's game sense has been the main thing to truly improve for Keen as a player, right? He knows when he's going to get ganked almost inherently without vision, which is just top laner sense. It's been built up over time. Works out even in the mid lane as well. As Dread might actually have to slingshot his way out of here. It gets a full charge, and in fact just decides to cancel it. Stretch Armstrong, he's going to be able to get the pullback there as the culling comes out from Sol. That's a big ultimate to land as Senin gets a huge taunt in on there as well as Nuclear is able to throw in his ultimate. We've got no teleports available, so these bloblets will just get cleaned up, and DAMWON Gaming get one on the board.
Yeah, and this is a really big win for them. They should be able to convert this into the Mountain Drake. They're going to pick up the Scuttle Crab as well. Keen probably should not look to try to get frisky here with the Aurelia in such close proximity.
Looks like Sol and Senin are able to get themselves into a decent position here on the bottom side of the map, though, so not a lot of control around that Mountain Drake area, and DAMWON not going to go for it. Feels like they're respecting this Jax a heck of a lot, despite the fact that he is down by 10 minions in the mid lane somehow. Getting the brunt of this trade as Senin, Justice Punch, gets himself back out of harm's way. Because that's a visual bug, guys.
Okay.
There is, in fact, no Canyon there. As what is this? That's a fun one. As I believe, yeah, he's bottom side of the map.
Yep.
Perplexing.
I love these visual bugs. They always provide for exciting and exhilarating viewing experience.
The surprise piggy in the mid lane.
And now right here, you can see that Zac's going to go over the wall, and then he says, nope, Chuck Testa, as he tries to get the clap onto the Tahm Kench, but then Senin just a hair out of range. Zac whiffing everything there with his ultimate, and Keen just absolutely cannot engage.
He just wanders around the fight. There's actually no way that they can get in there. And the arrow landing at a good position meant that with the vision advantage, DAMWON are able to come out on top. So far, despite everything, the Afreeca Freecs navigating things okay. Showmaker here has got himself a kill back in the mid lane. So item parity as both of these players are going to be heading towards Trinity Force. Whoever gets that one first is going to be a pretty important thing to look out for between the Jax and the Aurelia. But I'm looking at Keen as being in a position yet again to potentially hard carry this game if he can get it to the right spot. Because Jax in a side lane, we all know from ages gone by that he is very difficult to deal with, as Soul is getting crushed, honestly. Bottom side of the map, actually wanting to get some health back from this Gromp as they re-enter the lane.
And it looks like DAMWON want to try to pick up this Mountain Drake now, and this would be a really massive pickup for them, as Aurelia and Ashe both particularly good at taking the Baron, but Afreeca.
Yeah, Elastic Slingshot does come in. Both teleports now going to get invested as well. Nuclear takes a full culling to the face, but there's the arrow. It lands right on top, and he might be able to clean this one up as Dread tries to get a W in there, but Nuclear is going to survive. Vanguard's Edge, great positioning as well, as it's now cutting up the members of the Afreeca Freecs as they try to retreat. Senin not going to be able to. Mountain Drake going over to DAMWON. Welcome back to the series, DAMWON Gaming.
Yeah, and now with the Mountain Drake and all of those kills, as well as the XP and gold that's going to certainly go down inside of the lanes, this is a nightmare situation for Afreeca to be in. We'll take another quick look at it. Dread and Senin, they want to come over and engage into the fight. Dread misses out on Nuclear and whips the ultimate yet again. And then right here, Soul ends up going down right before he can get the last auto attack, and it's really tragic as the remaining members of Afreeca, they have to just try to run away.
Yeah, and Brook, I mean, doesn't get to use any of his health bar there, right? So wasn't in a position to actually tank relevant damage for his team. And if everyone dies and a Scion walks away with a full health bar, that is the epitome of a fight gone wrong for the Afreeca Freecs. They need to be able to play front to back effectively, because that's entirely what they've built for with this composition. They need to play around Jax and Lucian doing damage. If not, it's all bad news, and we saw that represented in that last team fight. Still doesn't mean the end of the world here for the Afreeca Freecs, but is the first warning sign.
And right now, DAMWON have really recovered from the mid lane issue that they were having early on, as the Aurelia is now ahead of the Jax, but Jax hasn't really come online yet. So that fight was taken at a rather poor timing. So Afreeca, they do still have gears available to them later on in the game, but obviously being down 3,000 gold at 16 minutes is not the best spot to be in.
Yeah, and I believe I saw a reconnection. CJ Flame is back in the game. He's dirty farming between turrets on this Vladimir. And I've seen that before, that it was many years ago, LS. Before your time, I believe.
Yeah, I joined Season 4.
Yeah, so Flame, of course, his heyday was around Season 3, even Season 2, of course. The guy's been playing for a hell of a long time, as Arrow's going to go wide, as Soul, very lucky to hold on to his life here on the bottom side of the map. But that's just not how we should be talking about a Lucian lane. This guy was power picked for the Afreeca Freecs squad, and was something that was left open in the draft for them to pick up. And I actually really commend DAMWON Gaming for going for the priority Vladimir after the Rise ban, rather than locking in the Lucian like they elected to.
So far, it's been doing very well here in this game. Vladimir is almost at 40% CDR, I do believe.
Oh, he is. He's definitely there. He was there a while ago.
So at this point,
he's closer to 45.
Cosmic Insight, and the game is slowing down. There's no Herald on the map. Laning phase, it's basically just chip damage ever so slightly up here in top lane. That's going to be the story of how Vladimir slowly chips away at the turret, as Scion will lose just a little bit of incremental HP on it every single time, as he can't instantaneously clear it, as we see right here.
And look at Brook as well. He's had to build an Abyssal Mask against a team with 2 physical damage dealers and a Vladimir. And that's just how much he has to respect Flame's damage. I mean, I probably would have preferred something like an Adaptive Helm, but it doesn't feel great against a Vladimir, but Abyssal Mask feels terrible on a Scion because you're not going to be able to get the aura advantage, right? It doesn't do a lot of magic damage. It's Kidnap looking to come through here onto Showmaker, but Dread doesn't even opt in for it as Hero's Entrance does come down. That's going to make this a 3 versus 2. Keen leaps forward, but Canyon's pretty tanky, and now Dread could be in trouble. Gets a surprise Kidnap onto a couple of members before going into his Bloblets, but these ones are going to bite the dust very quickly. It's Blobs for dinner once again for Showmaker.
And this is the 3rd time now Dread on the Zac has really overestimated just how far he could take the champion in some of these trades and skirmishes. And so now, that will be first turret of the game going over to DAMWON here, as at 19.5 minutes they find themselves almost with a 4,000 gold lead. Top tier 1 also poised to fall in just a second.
And that's a Vladimir taking his turret solo with a 22 CS advantage against Scion, who's wanting to get tanky and just be a blob in the front line, much like Dread. And it's just not really working here, right? Like, I just don't understand what the answer for the Vladimir is going to be as arrow lands onto Senate. And that is a Galio that's just straight up dead. Oh, does avoid the stun with a really nicely timed Justice Punch, but Showmaker will have the Qs, will have the resets, gets the stun as well as Gromp. He's going to reset at the wrong time to get the kill for them. But DAMWON are just styling on the Afreeca Freecs now. The Jax goes down, the Devour's there to keep Showmaker alive. And the Aurelia, despite falling for first blood, has found her way back into this game with a vengeance.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm going to have to call the game over, Atlas. It is almost a 7,000 gold deficit.
But think about the scaling for the Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, the Jax.
Yeah.
The Jax.
Yeah, I also don't understand quite how this is going to work out.
The Jax and the Lucian needed to get ahead. That's the whole point of them. They get ahead, they're extremely oppressive, and then it becomes difficult for DAMWON to try to stabilize the game. The problem is that DAMWON Gaming, they have a stronger scaling team composition that has more gears available inside of it, whereas Afreeca's team comp is face up. And now, the longer that this game goes, the worse it is going to get. Somehow, Dread died again.
Yeah, no, he's dead in the mid lane. That was Showmaker going aggressive and killed him with his Ignite that was available even after that last team fight, as Soul might get this red buff stolen. Volley almost does it, but doesn't actually. As you're right, it's just not a lot of options for the Afreeca Freecs after it feels like they picked themselves into a bit of a hole with this composition, and I feel like it's all sort of revolving around what Brook honestly can't offer.
There we go.
Against the Vladimir, as Dread dived in on top of Showmaker.
He's got to be really careful with those. He might trap someone in it one day.
Yeah, well, Zenon turns up us, and Showmaker kills the Zac and then walks away casually. That's his exit strategy.
To be completely honest, in recent memory, all the Zacs in LCK are really tending to miss his ultimate.
Yeah, there haven't been a lot of them landing. It's Arrow.
Ooh.
He's going to slip by King. He does his walk to the right strategy, which is a decent one to get out of the way of skill shots.
Definitely a close encounter.
Yeah, well, Dread might just be dead again, and it's getting to the point of feeding here for the Zac, who does have to use his flash once again, which they really want to be using as an engage tool more than anything else. Keen, he's got a Kindle Gem to the Sterix gauge completed for Showmaker. The Aurelia is gigantic, not able to find that stun there onto Keen, and after what was largely an early game in the laning phase that Showmaker didn't really have much control over, he's able to really control this mid game beautifully. 9-1 is the kill score, 8,000 gold is the lead, and Dread needs to find that smite button yet again. We've got level parity. We've got level parity, but Elastic Slingshot going to get charged and cancelled as that ward is really trolled right now. Avoids the vision of the control ward. And Flame is just in a side lane cleaning things out, has teleport available, so he can show up whenever he wants. And the Baron not going to get jumped on here, not going to get committed to by DAMWON Gaming, understanding that if his steal comes in, Afreeca Freecs might have a window back into this game.
And it looked like Canyon was feeling it as well, as the DWG Gaming junglers have definitely been getting outsmited this game by Dread.
Yeah.
So, situation like that, definitely not ones they probably want to be in. And the only thing that you could probably hope to do in a spot like that is try to use the Sejuani ultimate to lock Zac up on the other side as you go for the burst around 2500 HP, but not something that they seem willing to risk. And why would you when you were this far ahead? All the major item completions has just come in, almost, as Ashe is just waiting for her third core item. And as soon as they get that, I wouldn't just be surprised to see them attack move through Afreeca. And then, you know,
and then
pressing their keys on the keyboard, QWER, and
the only thing that they really need to do there is claim the 50 gold of the Nexus and move us to a game number 3. I understand exactly what your thinking is. Keen looking for Spear of Sojin, and that's why the Kindle Gem was the only option there, because didn't want to get a long sword when he wants to put a BF sword into his back pocket. This is probably one of the worst feelings you can have. You're looking to finish off that item, and he still needs about 1300 before that one gets completed, but he does have some damage to throw towards DAMWON, and once that Spear of Sojin comes in and he gets that passive available after he throws down his ultimate, one that you can throw down basically off cooldown if you want to, is something that needs to be respected. So the Jack's getting to some item timings. The Black Cleaver done for Soul means that the Lucian has hit that 2-item spike that we've looked at a lot of times. And at the moment, I am just looking for positives to talk about when it comes to the Afreeca Freecs, because there just hasn't been many of them to talk about, as Dread dives on out, but also in at the same time. Perplexing move, but keeps himself alive. And Flame has to use his pull very early, so Senin wants to find the flash, but doesn't get there. And Flame is going to remain untaunted as he blast goes his way to safety.
Ends up committing the Scion ultimate as well, which is really key to note, as Brook does not have teleport, and now without having the Scion ultimate available either, he's going to have to run over to this Baron. Flame has teleport, but looks like he wants to join the fray.
Actually just flashing onto Soul. Has to use the heal very early as the pull once again comes down. Hemoplague. Not going to be enough to take down the Lucian. He's going to go down, but that's a beautiful interrupt coming out from Canyon to try and guarantee the Baron. Keen gets into the pit, but you ain't stealing it, buddy. Vanguard's Edge going to clean up the Jacks, and that is 2 kills plus a Baron. And DWG Gaming will be able to march this one forward to take down even more structures.
Now after the Baron, it's going to be really difficult. Afreeca has 0 wave clear, Atlas. Yeah. Absolutely 0. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just see the game end after the fall of both the top and middle.
Well, we also know that their damage is in the form of a short-range 80 carry as well. Because Jax is dead, so he's back up in another 10 seconds, but that should mean the DWG Gaming squad can take down a whole bunch of extra turrets. One remaining inner is going to be on the map. That's on the bottom side, and Flame's going to get to that very soon. With this Baron buff available, just quietly, I mean, Flame wasn't able to one-shot the 80 carry just yet, but he now has a pretty cool hat and a Spellbinder. So he should be able to do that next time around.
Let's take a look at what's going on here. Hoyt trying to do his duty as he has an acquired pace for Jello, as he's looking to try to lock up Dread. And then right here, just was not able to get into the pit. And that was just beautiful execution, honestly, out of DAMWON, especially with Flame having zoned away Lucian from the fight, having chunked so much of his HP, and now looks like they actually just want to go for a 1-3-1, which, to be honest, I think is a little bit needless given how far ahead they are. They can just ignore turrets. You can have the Vladimir enter as the primary engage, tank up some of the turret damage, go into pull, hand off the aggro to another teammate. That teammate get eaten by Tom Kench, or
yep.
They have so many tools available to just outright dive, but
the aggro juggling is just very easy with the Tom Kench on your squad, so I completely understand. Certainly a lot of options for keeping DWG safe, and when it comes to disengage potential as well, I mean, they've got a lot of ultimates that do work very well in that disengage scenario. So not only do they have a Tom Kench, but they've got the Enchanted Crystal Arrow that can stop anyone from engaging on you, and the Glacial Prison that's also going to be able to do the same as Nuclear. Yeah, that's a lot of consistent damage coming in from the Ashe as the Ranger's focus just tears apart the turret. And that is first inhibitor just going down for free. Afreeca Freecs look dejected.
Yeah, they have absolutely no way of trying to resist this. As DAMWON now going to shift their focus up to the top inhibitor turret as Flame raises the bottom tier 3 as well.
This Vladimir is just having the time of his life.
He's farming 2
right
lanes.
now. Yeah.
This is great.
It's
the
almost
best feeling in the world.
It's like he's feeling like Afreeca Freecs, they're made up of NPCs, and he hasn't set the difficulty high enough in this particular PvE match that he's up against, as the culling does 0! You heard the Korean casters, they were getting excited, but I don't know why, because it did literally 0 work. That is going to be Sejuani tanking beautifully, and Brook can't do anything. With Soul dead, Keen dead, this is game over for the Afreeca Freecs and DAMWON. Run it through 1 kill away from this game being a perfect game in game number 2 for DAMWON Gaming. 30 minutes isn't even going to have an opportunity to tick over as they finish off the Nexus.
Yeah, definitely going to have to report Showmaker for that 1 death, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
was first blood as well.
Yeah, that's my main takeaway from this game.
And that is a very relevant